So, yeah, today we are going to talk about waterbirds, a bit of conservation, and climate change. Species face many, many types of many different types of changes in in the environment, and habitat loss is probably the major cause of habitat of biodiversity loss. But recently, climate change has become a major threat for species. And today I will try to illustrate some of these climate change impacts on species using waterbirds as a model group. And why waterbirds? Well, because waterbirds are indicators of wetland health, and they are also key features of wetlands. And wetlands are one of the most threatened ecosystems. But also, waterbirds are part of human culture, and for instance, we go and collect eggs and down. And also, waterbirds attract bird watchers and ecotourism. And of course, they are game species, and they are hunted all over the world. And because of this ecological, economic, and societal value, there are waterbirds and wetlands are protected under many international agreements. So, of course, we don't really know how the climate will be in the future. So there is a lot of uncertainty there, but we do know some things. For instance, we know that winter temperature is increasing faster than in the summer, and that contributes to a decrease or a change in the ice cover in the Baltic Sea, for instance. So we have here the situation of the Baltic Sea in a normal winter, and here is a very cold winter with a lot of ice. And on the right side, we have a warm winter with very little ice. And it seems that we are heading towards this type of situation. And indeed, there is a decline in the extent of the ice cover in the Baltic Sea during many decades ago, since the 1950s. So how does this climate change affect waterbirds? The first obvious thing to think about is that they may change distribution. So if we focus in the winter time and we go back to the picture, we say that we are kind of heading towards this situation. So this situation is getting more often. There is a lot of new potential wintering habitat available for waterbirds. And indeed, that's what is happening. For instance, in our study with the SMU, with the uivelo, we found that the wintering numbers of these species is increasing in the Baltic region and declining in the southern part of the wintering range. And this is also happening for other waterbird species like the goosander, the goldeneye, and the tufted duck. They are all increasing in the northern part of the wintering range and declining in the southern part. And also, I would like to show if maybe you can imagine, if you are very imaginative, you can see how these are the densities of the pochard, wintering range of the pochard. And you can see how it's increasing towards the central part of the distribution and the northern part of the distribution. And it's declining, the densities are declining in the southern region. So it seems that there's a common pattern in waterbirds to respond to changes in climate the same way. But it also has a survival effect, because if imagine a species that used to migrate from Finland to, let's say, the Netherlands or Germany, because the Baltic Sea was frozen and waterbirds need ice-free water. But now they find that there is actually available sites to winter in Sweden, or even in the Baltic states, or even in Finland. So they don't need to fly that long anymore. And that way they are reducing the risk of dying during the long migration. And in addition, the temperature is getting warmer, and therefore they don't need to spend much energy keeping themselves warm, and they get in a better body condition, which enhances survival. So then it seems that these changes in climate are quite beneficial for waterbirds. Everything looks nice for them, but it's not always that simple, because as we have seen that they are moving, they are changing the distribution, and actually they are landing, or they are now wintering in new sites that they are not protected, and therefore they are very vulnerable to, for example, changes in land use. And this is the case again of the SMU, that we found that almost the entire wintering population in Finland, Latvia, and Sweden, they winter in outside protected areas, which may have very, very terrific or very bad consequences for the whole population. And in addition, I only mentioned about temperature, but climate change is much more than just increasing winter temperature. For instance, when it's a mild winter in the north, we have a very dry winter in the south, meaning that there are very little wetlands available for waterbirds that go there to winter. Or even the ones that go to Africa, they have been suffering a very, very dry winter since already 1970s. And climate change also causes early springs, which may cause a mismatch between food abundance and hatching of the ducklings, and many others. Climate change increases rainfall, which decreases survival, increasing windiness, also increase mortality, loss of permafrost, loss of summer wetlands, alteration of the freshwater chemistry, lake characteristics, modifies also availability of seasonal wetlands, increased runoff, snow melt, sea level, changes in land use, seawater salinity, eutrophication, interactions, and many more things that are not very beneficial for waterbirds nor wetlands. And indeed, most of the European population of many species of waterbirds have been declining already for quite a long time, even though the winter conditions are getting nicer for them. So if we go back to the main topic, so we have that species are changing the distribution as a response to changes in the climate, and this is causing a mismatch between the location of the protected areas and the real location of a species of conservation concern. And this is now we have new conservation challenges. So we have to not only achieve the goals or the past goals of conserving and preserving enough high quality habitat to maintain healthy populations of species, but now we need to understand how species are responding to changes in climate to propose in a better conservation measures. But of course, we don't have to start from scratch, because we have seen that in Northern Europe, where we have all this increasing number of wintering birds, we have seen that the wintering numbers increased almost twice as fast inside the current protected areas than outside the protected areas, which means that there is the potential that protected areas may help species to change the distribution. However, we have shown also that a large percentage of the population winters outside these protected areas. And therefore I think that we really need to first increase the number of protected sites, taking into account taking into account climate change predictions and how species are predicted to change. And also we need to maintain a comprehensive network throughout the whole flyway, because even though there is a tendency of species to move northwards during cold winters that we will surely have, those species will still fly farther south to the traditional wintering sites. So therefore we need to maintain also those traditional sites, protected areas. And we need appropriate management of these protected areas that needs to be flexible to account for all these changes in distributions and perhaps in communities inside the wetlands. And just the last thing, we need also international cooperation and coordinated monitoring to keep gathering data to be able to assess the effectiveness of these conservation measures, and to keep improving our knowledge about how species respond to changes in climate, to keep updating this management and conservation policies. Thank you.